Hello to you all and welcome back to Hartstrings Deeper Thinking. Today I'll be announcing the rules for our contest. If you haven't seen the previous video of Plague 2020, I'll put a video pop up here for just a little bit of context to what's happening here. For those of you that already know what's going on though, this should just be a little bit of fun. So, like I said, we'll be announcing that contest. A contest where you will get either a creature, yourself, or even just one of your characters featured in this video game of mine. The video game will be free and open to the public, and some may even receive testing copies. Ooh, special. The announcements for that will be towards the end of the video, so feel free to stay tuned for that. You are welcome to skip ahead, though I would recommend staying tuned so you can understand what's actually going on here. Alright, let's get into it. As you probably saw earlier, and a little bit now, in the left-hand corner there is a hare. Not that kind of hare. Anyways, so these little bunnies, and really most rodents in the game, will be potential carriers of the virus, which is not good, especially if you have friends that have little rodent pets. We'll see some of those later. Little precursor for a character. Continuing. Though that's a pretty common thing, and it was mentioned in the last video just a little bit, now we will move on to the Cravens, as you see me drawing those. Cravens are actually an idea I came up with many years ago. They're basically small house cat-sized griffins, usually black, but they are a mix between a crow and a raven, essentially, and in this game they're supposed to be foreshadowers of, not necessarily doom, but the main villain showing up, as this is an aspect of nature that has been gone for quite a few years, but is reappearing now. Woohoo! They're usually harmless, but they might be carriers of disease, so it is wise, if you ever see any of these anywhere, to not go near them. That's a problem your sister had in the game. Now, for the original designs of these Cravens, I actually had them with a little gem in the middle of their forehead. That's when I first imagined / designed them many years ago. These guys might have more padded paws, more claws. They might have those gems, they might not. It really just depends on how I'm feeling and how I like the aesthetic of the thing. For the gems right now do not have a purpose. I also may or may not include these in the game, since I'm not sure if this would quite fit with the aesthetic of the thing. I wanted this to be more of a realistic fiction, in a sense that most of these things could happen in real life, so I'm not sure if I wanted to add such a fictional creature just yet. We'll see though, we'll see. Maybe they'll even be just architectural pieces or something. Yeah, I kind of like that idea. We'll see, we'll see. Moving on to the next ticket on our list. So, when I'm drawing these characters, I usually think of scenarios that they're going to be in. For the last video, it was animals, and kind of what they would do and how the environment would interact with them. However, this one is a little bit more on characters just towards the bottom. Towards the top, it was just a few little sketches, but this is a little more in depth. So this first one here is actually going to be the butcher's son. It'll be in one of the towns that you encounter along your path. You'll probably be dropping by to either check on the butcher for some reason, because somebody is concerned about him, to pick up some sort of a meat for yourself because you're damn hungry, or, last but not least, to pick up some information about the animals in the area, because that is quite important when it comes to a plague and how that stuff is spread. So, when you come into this butcher's shop, you know, everything looks pretty good, everything's pretty clean, besides, you know, the normal animal carcasses and stuff everywhere. Yay! But the first person you're going to encounter is this son here. I actually kind of wanted him to be balding a little bit because he's taking after his dad. Not necessarily a fun thing, but I wanted to add some variables to the character so it's not just, oh, there's the butcher man. Oh, there's the cook. Oh, there's the gardener. Stereotypical sun hat, you know, stereotypical carrying knives on them at all the time. Stereotypical, always wearing butcher's clothes. That's not necessarily the case here. And since I wanted this to be in a present day time, I wanted it to be more technologically advanced, of course. So this character is actually going to be wearing a hoodie, and though they still would have the more of a traditional butcher's apron and such, it is still more present day than it necessarily could be. Now, when you first meet this character, I want him to be very disgruntled and not happy to see you in the slightest. He's also very reserved and doesn't really want to talk much. That's not really an issue necessarily, since some people are like that. The issue is that there are issues with his father. The thing is his father's not around, and his young son has been having some suspicious activities lately. I won't necessarily specify those yet, but he has a nasty habit of being disrespectful to his father. Now, this ends up being suspicious when his father ends up getting a very large cut on his arm, and it doesn't heal, and the son doesn't really care about it, which is really not a good sign for any sort of family member. So the father's having a little bit of issues, and he's not able to work, and I think I might even have the son collecting the money and keeping it, not trying to feed the family or anything. It's very, very selfish, self-centered young man. And I want that to actually be very, very, very clear in the story. And you kind of just like, wait, what? Like, that's terrible. But you'll figure out more about that later. Anyways, continuing here with the butcher's design, because we are definitely done with the sun besides the line art color, because that is atrocious for color right now. Very hard to see. Now, I would like to point out some character design things here. So, the son, as I mentioned, is going bald. He contributes that to his father, who is almost completely bald, and only has a little scruffy patch of facial hair. That is a little bit of something that bothers him. But some other things that they have in common are that they have large hands. This is probably because that centuries and centuries and centuries and centuries of actually being butchers, since they have carried this tradition on for so long. It's probably kind of contributed to that. Besides that, they have a semi-similar outfit just because they are butchers, as I mentioned before. The aprons, and the father does wear short-sleeve shirts very, very often. Okay, now going into the details about the father. Now, some issues that he's been having with his health really just include that big old cut that he's got on his arm. I don't remember how I wanted him to get it, because I have not actually designed that at all yet, but the problem is it's been a few weeks, maybe even just like a week and a half since he got this scar. He did proper care and cleaning on it. He made sure that it wasn't going to get infected by wrapping it up, putting on ointment and such, and for some reason it's healing incredibly slowly. Very, very slowly. Abnormally slowly. So that's an issue. He thinks, it's not a big deal. I'll just change my diet because I probably don't have enough iron in my body. And he thinks that's just the end of it. But in all honesty, it's really not. There's something else going on behind the scenes that he doesn't even know about. It's kind of up to you to figure that out at some point. You don't have to. You can just be alright with the butcher being really friendly and the son being a grumpy, spoiled brat. But you can also investigate and try to figure out what's going on, because the more you figure out about the world, the safer you're going to be in this case. Especially because there's a lot of unknown things. You're unsure about it. You're a little bit of a detective when you're trying to figure out what's going on, why things are happening this way. And since in the very beginning, you know that there's some sort of a plague, disease going on, it's good to investigate and figure out more about what's going on outside of your world, as in other people's worlds, because the more knowledge you have in this case is really what's going to keep you alive throughout the game. Alright, so now that we're done with the butchers, both of them, we're going to go ahead and get into the character that I ended up making sort of the main character. I'm not necessarily sure if he will look this young, But at first I was just sketching, you know, for fun, and then I decided, okay, all right, this is good. I think I'm gonna keep this design here. So, it looks really derpy at first, but trust me, it gets better. So, throughout this process of designing this semi-simple character, I started to understand a little bit more of what I wanted to do for the story. By the way, I come up with a story separate from when I'm drawing these pictures. Though I usually think the scenarios that the characters are going to be in, I write the story separate. And I've been doing that very diligently, I hope you guys know. I am at least into the second or the third village right now. And I only started this about a week ago. So, I hope it ends up well. I am trying to speed up my progress, but also make it efficient. So that hopefully we can have the game released around May of this year. I'm hoping that's when I'll get it released. I'm not sure yet since it's just me creating and designing the game. And even doing it very often, I'm not sure how far I'll get in that time period. But the reason why is because that's when I want the story to start. Actually, May of 2020. I want that to be the time when the character notices something's up. By the way, I want him to have a sister, and I'm not sure what she's going to look like. And that could even be you as the character if you wanted, depending on if you win the contest or not. Either way, his sister's there, and she actually is going to get the plague. The bubonic plague. Or something along those lines that's really intense and very strange. He gets her medication, and I want him to either be an EMT or somebody who knows about health, and he tries his best to make sure she's taken care of, but she's not. That is the precursor. I'll have more details and information on what actually happens and how she gets this disease, but for now, I'm going to go into the contest details since I just barely kind of mentioned that. Now, there are 3 incredibly simple things that you can do to win this contest. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So, what you need to do is first share the contest video link. This video. Really easy. Just go up in the search bar, copy the link, and paste it in any one of the media platforms you have. Whether that be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, etc., etc., etc. When you post that link, that is the first step, as I mentioned. That's important because you're getting other people involved in the project, and man, wouldn't it be cool if not your picture, but your best friend's badass character gets featured in somebody's random video game. Wouldn't that be cool? Step 2. Comment. So you don't necessarily have to comment on this video, but on any one of the sites that I have my videos or my contest information up on. I have a DeviantArt, I have a Facebook page, that's what I have right now. I might be making more here in the near future. But for now, that's what I've got. I want you to either comment in this video's description or the other things that I mentioned. Comment that you're interested, comment something that you like about the video, comment your favorite character design so far. A few of those things would be definitely good starters. You can also comment saying, oh, okay, I posted the link. Simple. Easy. It's so easy to get your character featured here. It would be splendiferous just to have that sort of media. Wouldn't it be fun to play as your own character too? I mean, come on, somebody's doing all the work to do that for you. Alright. Step 3. Very simply, stay tuned. I mean, feel free to subscribe to my channel, feel free to just keep an update on everything that's going on, because very soon, possibly the next video, I'll actually be introducing the character that has won. I will be keeping this contest open for about, I'd say about 2 weeks, maybe a week, depending on how many people participate, but stay tuned for that. Keep updates, keep eyes open, because if things don't go well and there's some sort of a tiebreaker or something, you could be the first to jump on it and might actually be the one to get the contest finished. Alright. Those are the basic details of the contest. Pretty simple. Pretty easy. It doesn't take much, not even 2 minutes, so feel free to be a part of this project. I think it'd be really fun and I would love to have you guys here. Next video, I will probably be announcing that. I might actually add a video before then. Might be another art concept video. Or something else. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, I will post the links to all of those sites below. I really do look forward to hearing from you guys. Now, to explain this character design, since we are on to that step now. The t-shirt design for the PLAD, that actually stands for Peace, Love, and Daggers. I didn't know what to do for the t-shirt, honestly, and the Peace, Love, and Daggers is something I made up in probably middle school. It was just supposed to be a cool design, and it spells out plaid, so I thought that was fun. The daggers are actually supposed to be more fancy, but for the sakes of this and me just doodling essentially at this point, it's just pretty simple. Anyways, I don't know the name of this character just yet. I'll come up with that sooner or later, but I want him, as I mentioned earlier, to either be an EMT, that's why he has a little Red Cross keychain on his hip there, or I might even want him to be a detective. That sounds interesting. Or a biologist. Or I might even want him to be a hunter. All those things might not even be what he is, but they might even be classes that you could level up your character through. I have a few different ideas on that, but right now I'm kind of wishy-washy on that one. Now, for this last picture here, you can see that I added insert your character here, because the next time I'll be announcing who won and such, I will have already collected the data and possibly even done a few sketches. So, stay tuned, guys. I'll see you around.